Before the global ministry, the leadership academies, the DSABs, the schools of ministries, before the worldwide community, there was the Chinese man that needed to collect his rent. Whilst we were in the middle of the service, there was the smell of fried fish on a Sunday morning whilst service was going on at Coconut Village. Before Daystar became that name that people knew on a global scale, there was a whispered promise of what felt like an impossible journey. This is my own side of the story. As one who was part of the few who gathered to pray before Daystar ever came to be, as one of the 30 that sat in that sitting room to have communion before the inaugural service in 1995. All we could have was dream. A testament to what God can do with the life of a man who is yielded, a testament to what is possible when we yield. My Daystar story began actually during the prayer meetings that we used to have. I wasn't just going to be part of anything that I didn't know where it was going. I'd known Reverend Sam way before then, and he was my pastor in the previous church, and I didn't quite feel like I belonged there. And so now that something new was happening, I just needed to be sure that it was something for me. And so I approached him after prayers one of those evenings, and I asked him, are we going to repeat what was happening in where we're coming from? And he looks me straight in the eyes and said, if there was no need for change, we will need to move. That was that sentence that sold me. I determined that I was coming to this and never mind what any other person thought. My husband at that time, of course, was already sold, but I wasn't. And that was it that sold me. I lived not too far away from the church, so sometimes we will all gravitate from my house. Some of the departmental meetings were actually happening in my house. I remember the 21 days of praying and fasting at Coca Village. I remember the communities we used to have then. Scrawny looking people, only dreams. That's all we had. Actually, the word dream was a recurring decimal at that time. And I remember that day where it was definite that Reverend Sam was my pastor. I had just dropped children in school, and I was going on another mission. And the mission had to do with my destiny, of course. And as I made the corner on Isaac John in GRA Keja, there was Reverend Sam, who also had dropped his own child. And I said to him what my mission was, and that because God had instructed me, tell him to pray for you. And I told him he was on the road. And of course, Reverend Simon is shy, and I was adamant. I was determined to get what I wanted to get that morning. So he didn't have a choice. I knelt on Isaac John. He prayed for me. There and then I knew he was my pastor at that time. Fast forward, a lot of waters did pass under the bridge, all the schools, all the trainings, and the journey progressed through trusting God and trusting the word. The truth is, none of us, I do not remember any person who was part of the original crew that started Daystar who had anything. There was nothing to us but dreams. Our hearts were opened. Reverend Sam encouraged us to see into a preferable future. We only had pictures of lives that were going to be phenomenal in years to come. And I cannot but remember the series of teachings. Start with what you have, the parable of dollars. If you bite more than you can chew, then God will help you to chew the rest. I cannot but mention the incredible, sincere humility that Reverend Sam and his wife, Pastor Nike, embodies. They are incredible people. I will say to Pastor Nike on a regular basis that her senses are sharp. She is deeply spiritual, and she picks things just like that, a blessing. And I will say concerning Reverend Sam, Rev is deep, beyond his years. I remember one of those days when he gave the testimony that his domestic staff looked at all his array of books and he said, how will someone read all these and they will not know book? Innocent as that may sound, Rev is a mind that is beyond this age. The teachings launched many of us. Start with what you have is what started my business. That on its own, it just grew. It went on a global scale. And I know everywhere I go, because what you find is Daystar is everywhere. Everywhere I go, what people seek you out because of the order, the humility, the no noise, but high impact that you bring to the table. Should I mention the fact that all the children that were raised in Daystar, they are blazing their trails everywhere they go. Everywhere you meet a Daystar child. My two children were raised in Daystar, named by Reverend Sam. Everywhere they go, all them Daystar children, not only are they a community and a force to reckon with, they are also there at the leadership. They are organizing stuff. You will not find a Daystar child that is not a natural leader. That is the training. And as Daystar celebrates 30, I could tell stories after story because I have been there from the get-go. But I know one thing, God, this God that we have tried and tested in the last 30 years, is just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. We were just warming up for the race. By the grace of God, we are going to continue to blaze the trails, continue to grace the stages, that without noise, that with a lot of grace, in that with a lot of humility, that with God leading us into those spaces. As I stop here, I say congratulations, Daystar. Thank you for all that you embody. Thank you, Reverend Sam. Thank you, Pastor Nike, for who you are and for yielding yourself. And thank you to everyone who has stayed the course. Thank you to everyone who's blazing the trail. Thank you to everyone who's become a living epistle of what God can do in the life of a man. Happy 30th, Daystar.